Hey everyone, and welcome to another Warframe video. So today in hotfix, Nick's got a few more changes, and I quite like the look of them on paper. However, I think that they have issues. I'm going to straight up come out and give a very quick TLDR now. I still think that Absorb needs changing. And I'm going to go through and sort of explain why I think that, and I'll give some ideas as to what I think the ability should actually be morphed into. I gave some ideas before about like a psychic adaptation, but I think potentially that's too much work for very little payout from sort of their point of view. But my ideas kind of work using mechanics that are already in the game, so it shouldn't be too difficult to bring them in. But anyway, the changes that came today. So the explosion range of of Absorb will now scale based on the amount of damage that you've got stored up to a maximum of 75 meters, which is huge. Although you're never realistically going to get that unless you don't build for power strength, and then you sort of screw up the damage. So yeah, it's one of those things that you're never really going to get, but it's still going to be a huge number. Like, you're still looking probably 50 meters at least. And then you will get a damage buff lasting 8 seconds every time that you leave the Absorb. So, why is this still not particularly good? Well, the thing is, her abilities kind of negate her fourth ability. Let's say, for example, let's get a Chaos out here. So, let's say I want to absorb, and I want to absorb some damage. Oh, look. They're fighting each other, look. They're not fighting me. Oh, no. They ran up to me and no. Now they're back there again. They don't fight me unless I'm like specifically right next to them as their closest target. They do not fight you. So, and to an extent, mind control is exactly the same thing. It's so counterintuitive. Like, some frames have like synergies between abilities. Nyx's own abilities screw over herself. It's really doesn't help. It's so, like, not helpful. It's unreal. And it means that the ability becomes so unusable if you're actually using the rest of her. It's such a shame. And the buff duration of 8 seconds, like 8 seconds, it's nowhere near enough. Like, let's say, for example, I drop into Absorb here. Let's absorb up a little bit of damage here. So I've been in Absorb for like 5 or 6 seconds now, maybe 10 seconds. Let's release the Absorb. We won't kill everything. We won't kill a level 65 runner because reasons. And I've got a 3%. I have a 3%. I have 3% damage buff. Okay, that's possibly the worst I've ever seen in my life. So that was a 10-second absorb for 3% damage. Like, the stupid thing, like, I've tested this out in the simulacrum, and someone hitting me with like 100,000 damage, which equates to like 670. It's basically my entire energy pool, 675 or 637, whatever it is. It's my entire energy pool. Gives me a 400% damage boost, which is good. But that is an 8-second boost, plus kind of laughable damage, because even that amount of damage doesn't take down a level 50 heavy gunner, which means it doesn't scale very well. And you get that 400% boost for 8 seconds, for 635 energy. 8 seconds. It's nowhere near enough. It just isn't. So not only do you have an ability that is hugely costly, without really having the power to back it up, it just does, and then it just doesn't work with her own ability, like her 2 and her 1. Like, it's such a bad ability. It always has been. And I think that a lot of it comes from the fact that we still see it as a damage dealing ability. I think we need to stop thinking in terms of everything needs to have damage. It doesn't. Honestly, the damage output of her 1 ends up being better than the damage output of her Absorb. It just straight up does. Especially when you start playing around with a combination between her 1 and her 2. So much better. Way, way, way better. So what I would do is I would drastically cut the energy that your friendlies do to you. Like, when a friendly shoots you, because especially since it happens by accident, like, a single Exegeus shot takes off like 500 energy. One Exegeus shot. 500 energy. It's a lot of energy. And, like I say, there's very little return on that. But 500 energy is a ridiculous amount. And it just doesn't, yeah, it just doesn't work from that point of view. So I would drastically reduce the actual incoming fire sort of penalty that you get from your allies. I would slightly reduce it from enemies too, because what I would say is to add some synergy with her chaos. So what I would say is that enemies that are chaos, as they are right now, will be immediately drawn to the absorb. So say for example I just chaos there, I could then absorb, and it would bring the enemies into me, like they are now. They would now be attacking me, like an almost like a big inbuilt Guardian Derision. And that would, I think, be brilliant for some actual creative team play from a good Nyx player. Imagine you're in a defense, your pod's about to die, when all of a sudden your Nyx pops chaos, and then pops her assimilate, draws all the enemy fire away from the pod, and you're able to extract with all your loot. I think it would produce so much more like good gameplay, and I think it would also dispel the myth that everything needs to have a damage ability to be good, to be useful. I really think that would be absolutely brilliant. And then, like, at the same time, I would also say that the damage buff duration needs doubling. It needs to be straight up doubled. I really don't think it's anywhere near long enough. Like, reasonably, like, right now, because you don't want to waste, like, 400% extra damage, well, 670 or 635 energy, and, 400% extra damage. You don't want to waste that on a random trash mob, do you? So you're going to want to hit the heavy units, and, like, honestly, realistically, with, like, 12 seconds, at higher level, you're only talking 1 or 2 enemies. Like, maybe 3 or 4. Like, it's not a lot at all. Like, not at all. So I really think that duration should be quite a bit higher. And honestly, I don't think that this would actually be too much to implement either. Guardian Derision's already a thing. Just, like, build that into the absorb, and just allow it so that chaos units always will go after the absorb target. That's the reason why I said only slightly reduce the incoming, like the energy incoming from enemy fire, because at higher level that could be very, very broken if you reduce it by too much, because obviously you've got to have that sort of energy buffer as a kind of balancing mechanic, because it could be very, very strong and very, very useful. And yeah, I just think it would be so much nicer. I don't know, maybe you should let me know in the comments what you think about, Absorb's current state, because honestly, right now, I'm quite happy with Nyx. Her 1, 2, and 3 are brilliant. I still wish that her recast on her 2 was quicker, or affected by in fact, no, it needs to be quicker. Because at the moment, I mean, it's not even affected by natural talent. Not that because Nyx is a rainbow build, you'll have any room for natural talent. But it's not affected by it anyway. But the problem is that for console, I guarantee that is going to be a massive pain. It's not going to be fun to be trying to recast the Psychic Bolts on a controller. I am not looking forward to people trying that out and finding that out pretty quickly. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you actually think, and whether you think that any of the changes I've suggested would actually be good for Nyx. I think it would move her away from that sort of that view that we've got to have damage on everything, and into like actually filling her role, her proper support role. Yeah. Instead of trying to basically retroactively making a bad ability, because it is a bad ability. I'm sorry, Absorb is terrible. Instead of trying to make that into a good damage ability when it just isn't going to work like that, I really think just focusing on making that give some interesting gameplay would actually be more beneficial than anything else. But yeah, like I say, I think I've rambled enough. I've got my Shotgun Riven mod. And if you haven't, and I don't know if anybody of you like watches the dev streams and stuff, 100% go and watch the dev stream that came out today. It was absolutely incredible. It was so good, so much content planned for this year. We joke about last year being the year of the content drought. This year is the year of content. Oh my, the amount of content they want to get. They want to attempt to get Railjack and the new war to us before 10 o'clock. Like, plus a whole bunch of other stuff. Like 3 new Warframes and, oh, there's so much stuff coming. I absolutely 100% recommend you go and check that dev stream. It was incredible. But yeah, I'll be checking out the comments to see what you think. I hope that, I know that the people at Play Warframe do actually watch these videos, so I hope I've given some ideas and some decent feedback as to Absorb. I love the rest of Nyx. The timer on her 2 needs reducing, like the recast timer, by at least 75%, and her 4 needs a couple of extra tweaks to it. But I'm loving Nyx. I think she is fantastic now. I just think she needs a little bit extra on her 4 to really bring her into being a fantastic support frame. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I'm going to stop rambling now and let you get on with your evenings. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I shall catch you in the next one.